Alright you guys, what is going on? I'm Gerardo. Some of you know me as the creator of Look Into Hex. Some of you know me as the co-founder of Mintra.io, the new NFT marketplace that's going to launch on PulseChain once PulseChain launches. Some of you don't know me, and there you go, that's my intro for you. So there's been a lot of FUD, a lot of questions, a lot of doubt, even some personal attacks on Telegram, Twitter, YouTube, all over social, right? And most of it is unbased, truly. And here I am making this video to clarify a lot of those doubts, questions, FUD, etc. The fear, the uncertainty, the doubt. And it's understandable, right? Because I built this channel, I built this presence, and built value, truly, for the Hexican community. And who are they? Well, if you're watching, you're likely that you're a Hexican. You're a Hex holder, Hex investor, Hex staker, right? And a lot of the FUD going around is, look, that I'm just using and leveraging my influence in the Hex community after building so much value to cash grab is a term I've heard thrown around. Now, Crypto Heartbeat, I loved his answer on Twitter, which is saying, like, a sacrifice phase is not a cash grab, truly. It is simply having people put skin in the game and vote for what they believe to be something that's going to be beneficial to the ecosystem. And I'll outline why I do think an NFT marketplace on PulseChain is beneficial to PulseChain, right? Think about it. Richard Hart is building a layer 1 solution. What is a layer 1 solution? It's a general purpose blockchain, aka you build shit on that, right? Imagine if Ethereum just had Hex on it. It'd be alright, but it's all of this other stuff that brings in users from other verticals, whether they're in it for the NFTs, whether they're in it for the, it's almost a meme at this point, but for the world computer, right? For whatever you use Ethereum for, it's a general purpose blockchain that it's meant to be built upon, guys. Now, there's so much to touch on this. First of all, you guys know that NFTs are the most popular use case on Ethereum and have been for the past year or so. All you have to do is log into etherscan.io and look at the gas tracker, look at the top gas guzzler, and it is OpenSea, right? So, given the game theory, the mechanics of how PulseChain as a network works and how it scales via the network effect. So you want to bring all of the NFT users over, right? And okay, there's a tweet that will haunt me forever, which is, I'm forking OpenSea. Now, the only reason that I worded it that way is because I wanted to come up with an easy, understandable, digestible way to explain what I'm doing to people in 3 words or less. It's marketing at the end of the day. And to clarify my co-founder role in Mintra, it's marketing, truly. It's tokenomics and marketing, right? We have an amazing team, which I believe it's actually on the site now. If you go to Mintra.io, there should be an About Us section, and it outlines the project manager, who's in charge of the devs, who's in charge of coding, because I'm not in charge of everything. It's a team, you guys. And social media can be an illusion, right? Like, for example, Richard Hart and his projects. He has a whole ass team behind this. Is his developer making videos? No. Are the other people on his team making videos? No, it's him. He's the... I know it sounds bad, but he's the face of it, and he's truly the genius and the brains behind it. Now, am I just a face? Am I a paid shill? No. I approached the PLS NFT guys who were already building and weren't receiving flack until I joined, and, you know, we came up with the tokenomics, the game theory, the launch mechanism being the sacrifice phase. And back to Crypto Heartbeat's tweet, which again I love, it really expresses the truth here, which is the sacrifice phase is an innovation for launching coins. And remember what happens when you give free coins to people, because one of the major points that people have brought up is, why don't you just airdrop the PulseChain sacrifice set? Why don't you just airdrop Hex stakers? Why don't you just airdrop the PulseX sacrifice set? Well, because when you pay attention, right? And you care more, you have skin in the game, you have incentive to see the thing succeed. So I think airdropping coins to just apathetic people who might not even care about the project isn't a good idea, right? And I'll touch on that product-project distinction in a bit, because it's not live yet, right? We don't have a public-facing interface yet. We have the Mintra NFT marketplace already working on Rinkeby Testnet. That's an Ethereum testnet where I played with it, right? And hopefully we can show you guys that soon. Again, currently it's on a local dev machine. We just need to port it over to AWS so it can actually handle the load of thousands of people going in and playing with the testnet. But hopefully we can show that to you guys soon. You can already upload NFTs, you can share it, you can bid, sell, etc. Right? The next step is we actually hired a new dev today. And the next step for that specifically is the staking UI, right? It's so that you'll be able to stake your mint and receive potentially PLS revenue from the marketplace, similar to the Looks Rare model, right? And it's not a technical fork of OpenSea. I really, really, really want to hone that in, right? The only reason I worded it that way, again, was to make it marketable. A marketable 3-word tweet to have everyone understand what I'm doing, but truly it's being built from scratch. So, for example, the OpenSea hack the other day, if it was a code-based exploit, then I understand the reasoning behind coming at Mintra and saying, look, well, if you're forking this, which we're not, but right, if it were a technical fork, then I understand. Okay, you don't want to fork over an exploit, obviously, and it surprises me. It surprises me that people don't really think, because it's not even out yet. So Mintra, right? It's not even out yet. So there's time, even if it was a fork of the code, which is not, there would still be time to fix exploits like that, right? But it's not. It's truly being built from scratch. And so, yeah, and the OpenSea thing was a phishing attack, right? It was a phishing exploit. So that's just a completely unbased case, so to speak. Now, I think I've touched on a lot of the main points, right? Like why sacrifice phase? Well, you don't want to airdrop to apathetic people, and you have to choose who to give the supply to. What else? Oh, the other FUD, that Mintra sacrifice phase is bringing the hex price down. Well, again, it surprises me the IQ of some of these unbased attacks. A sacrifice, given the mechanism that Mintra is using, PulseChain uses, PulseX used, even liquid loans, right? Is you just transfer your coins from one address to the sacrifice address. That's not sell pressure, you guys. The only thing that makes the hex price go down is if someone goes into Uniswap, goes into 1inch, whatever, has hex, and dumps it, right? And if you look at the Mintra sacrifice address, it hasn't dumped a single hex. Not one. And I wouldn't be surprised if it never, ever sold a single hex. I wouldn't be surprised. And people ask, well, who owns the sacrifice address? Well, legally you can't say, right? I wish I could tell you guys, but can't say. But your guess is probably it's probably a good guess, right? So watch the address. It's public. It's Ethereum. You can watch it, see what the address does. And as far as I've seen, it hasn't sold a single hex. And actually, let's combat the FUD a little more and say, well, the majority of the sacrifices made to the Mintra sacrifice address have not been hex. Hex only accounts for 22%, last I checked, of the funds in that address across the 4 different chains. And so you ask yourself, well, what if the opposite happens? What if instead of dumping hex, what if the Mintra sacrifice address actually really likes hex and market buys hex? Wouldn't that be nice, right? With those other funds, the USDC, USDT, DAI, Ethereum, all that, the BNB, the BUSD. Wouldn't that be nice? So I hear these claims, I hear these attacks saying, oh, your Mintra thing is parasitic to the Hex and Pulse community. And I mean, I just presented to you a case where it doesn't sell Hex and maybe it wants to buy Hex. That sounds like a synergistic and beneficial relationship to me. Not only that, for the PulseChain community, you guys know how PulseChain works, right? The more transactions that happen on the Pulse network, the more users that come over to the Pulse network, the more Pulse is burned, and therefore making it more scarce and assuming static or increasing demand. Economics 101 tells you price go up. So given the cases I've laid out here, it sounds like this could be very beneficial to the Hex community, very beneficial to the Pulse community. And another claim, right? Why do you even need a token? Right? Why does the Mintra NFT marketplace even need a token? Well, look at the new NFT marketplaces that are actually taking over, right? Looks Rare came along and surpassed OpenSea in daily volume for some time. How? Well, they have that revenue sharing model where they share platform revenue fees with their users, as well as their token, their Looks token, which again, they airdropped for free to users and then dump. So not to say something that isn't airdropped for free can't dump, but I've seen from experience that those coins who are airdropped for free oftentimes just get dumped. Uni, another good example. I know what I do with my free tokens. That's all I'm gonna say. So why is a token even necessary? Well, it makes Mintra competitive, right? Even if it is a duct tape on token, there actually is game theory, so I don't even want to call it that, really. There's game theory to it, right? So what is the game theory, I should say? Mint will be able to be staked. Again, we're working on the, well, I shouldn't say that, but we hired a dev, right? And we'd like to see the staking UI, the staking user interface, user experience, the portal, be ready whenever we launch public testing of the NFT marketplace. And why would you stake Mint, right? It's not a time lock, by the way. It's just your typical, you can pull your rewards whenever. Which rewards? It goes back to why would you stake Mint? Well, OpenSea charges 2.5% on every NFT sale. Mintra will only charge 2.25%, so it's already competitive. It has its own token, similar to Looks, so it's competitive in that nature. It's bringing a new vertical of users, the green, sustainable blockchain narrative users, bringing them over as well. So a lot of angles here, right? Almost like a genius came up with it. So again, I want to wrap back around to why is the token even necessary? Well, it makes it competitive, and there is game theory where of that 2.25% fee that Mintra will charge on NFT sales, right? A little under half of that, about 44.44% of that 2.25%, which is 1% of every NFT sale on the Mintra marketplace, could go back to Mint stakers, depending on their share of the Mint pool that is staked. So that's pretty cool, right? OpenSea doesn't give its fees back to its users. Mintra could do that. It really could. Lux does it. So you have a use case for accumulating PLS, right? The use case truly for the Mint token will be, look, it's basically a play, it's a bet on volume. It's a bet on volume coming through the NFT marketplace, which fundamentally is, it's a bet on all the NFT bros coming over and doing their transactions on a cheaper, faster, greener network. So it's a bet you can take if you want to take it, and guess what? You don't. But if you do want to take that bet, that's when you go to mintra.info and read the game theory, the tokenomics. There's something I didn't mention, right? So of the 2.25% fee, a little under half of that, 1%, goes to an address you must have no expectations of. The other 1% goes back to Mint stakers, and there's still 0.25%. So what do you do with that? Well, in the spirit of PulseX, right, in the spirit of no expectations, in the spirit of buy and burn, there are cool things you can do, right, with that 0.25%. Wouldn't it be nice if that address you have no expectations of just bought Mint on the market, burned it? That'd be pretty cool, right? So you have this multitude of use cases for the Mint token, which is, it's an accumulation play on PLS. If you want to accumulate PLS via the volume, it's a bet on NFT guys coming over to a cheaper, faster, greener network. It is a play on, imagining a world where this address just buys the token on the open market and burns it. So I think it's a pretty clever design. I won't say it is I wouldn't say it's end game, right? And the people who say, like, you'd be better off holding RH products, Pulse, PulseX, Hex, it's fair, right? It's fair. Given the precedent, there isn't really precedent for something, a coin outperforming in the long term. If you zoom out 2-3 years, there isn't really a case, or there isn't really precedent for coins outperforming Richard Hart product, the only one that currently exists, which is Hex. But if we're real, right, if we actually look at the facts in the charts, there are certain windows where other things do outperform Hex, right? That's why when you go to the Hex ETH chart, there's times when it goes up, there's times when it goes down. The times when it goes up, it's outperforming ETH. The times when it goes down, ETH is outperforming Hex. So I understand where people are coming from, but I do think that giving the optionality for other use cases, other narratives, other verticals, other demographics, other use cases, I think it's fair, to say the least. Now, you don't have to participate, right? Obviously, you don't have to participate. But I just wanted to clear up some of the game theory, some of the FUD, some of the questions being asked in the community. And the sacrifice phase is currently live. You go to mintra.info and you can see the game theory for the sacrifice phase, which, again, sacrifice phases are an innovation. They're an innovation in how to launch coins. And because of that, well, let's be innovative with the innovation. And instead of 10,000 points per US dollar equivalent, it's 100 points per US dollar equivalent. I like to say we're playing in a different unit regime, right? Where the rate, technically a penny. Sounds like a good starting point, doesn't it? And that rate is still the same. And it has been since February 16th. It will be until March 2nd. And after that, as again, in the spirit of PulseChain and PulseX, the rate will increase by 5% a day until March 17th, at that point, it'll just end, right? There won't be any continuous bonding curve. And I did the math, right? So if you get 100 points per USD equivalent during this whole window, which is still viable, right? Again, until March 2nd, and we're, about a week away. We're about a week away where you can still get the best rate. Currently, about $900,000 has sacrificed to prove they believe that the future of blockchains should be green and sustainable and should not destroy the environment like these proof of work blockchain NFT use cases, right? OpenSea on Ethereum is the prime example. So the rate is flat until March 2nd. After that, like I said, it increases 5% per day. I did the math. Turns out you get roughly 50 points per USD equivalent. Again, it's rough math by the end of the bonding curve. And then from there, it just goes to you get no points anymore. You're not supposed to sacrifice after March 17th, right? You will get no credit if you sacrifice after March 17th. So that sacrifice phase is currently live. Once again, it's almost at the $1 million mark. And to the previous points, looks like not a single hex has been sold. Looks like not a single coin has been sold for that matter. And I wouldn't be surprised to continue to see that. and I wouldn't be surprised if that address really, really likes hex and actually does some things to benefit the community. So I just wanted to clear all of that, and again, clear my name as well, because I'm a co-founder and I am mainly in charge of tokenomics and marketing. Truly, everyone does their part. It's a team-based effort. You know what they say, right? If you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go with the team. So I think this will be great for Pulse. I think this will be at least not bad and potentially good for Hex. And I think it will help onboard a lot of people onto PulseChain, because let's be real, the market has decided, even if the Hexagon community absolutely hates NFTs, even if Richard Hart absolutely hates NFTs, the market seems to have decided its own thing. It seems to like them. So you give the market what it wants sometimes, and hopefully benefit your communities in the process, right? So, and I guess I should end on a note here, which is, this was inspired by Richard Hart, right? I was inspired by Richard Hart's streams where he says, making a clone of OpenSea isn't that hard, right? You spool up your own servers, and maybe you write some front end code from scratch. And it was inspired by Richard Hart. I will say it was inspired by his streams, and I thought, you know what? That guy builds a lot, and people expect him to do a lot. And I don't know if that's fair, and I don't even know if that's in the spirit of crypto, truly, in a distributed network, right? Like, I know we're starting to get into this narrative of vertical integration, but it's nuanced, because it's vertical integration within a distributed ecosystem. So you could argue something like Staker app, right, is in the Hex community. You could argue, well, we already have a cool wallet vertically integrated, even though Richard had nothing to do with Staker app. Do you see what I'm getting at? Right? All the streamers that decided to just emergently create stuff, right? These are emergent properties of a distributed network, of a distributed system. And those of you who are smart, who are open-minded, willing to learn, you'll understand you'll understand the energy and the facts that are coming through this video. I truly hope you do. I truly hope you do. Again, this is inspired by Richard Rogers, the other lead on the team. He was inspired by Richard in person, right? He was at the London dinner, and this is explained in the About Us section, which should be on the site. I'll link that below. Which says, you know what, he was sitting at a dinner with Richard and said something along the lines of, I want to do some NFT stuff. And obviously Richard being like, you probably shouldn't do necessarily just NFTs, but why don't you launch a marketplace? And again, that inspired Rogers. So I was inspired by Richard, he was inspired by Richard. I'm sure you at some point were inspired by him. Main difference for a lot of people being, they get inspired, and they don't do anything about it. Well, guess what? I'm the type of person to do stuff. Right? If you've seen, I can't sit still. I make YouTube videos built on looking at hacks, running Telegram groups, responding on Twitter. Like, I can't sit still. I'm a builder. I'm an entrepreneur. I have been for almost a decade at this point. I'm a builder, and I implore you. I almost beg you. I implore you to build. Right? Don't just expect things to be handed to you. Build. I'll leave it on that note. And again, for those of you who have sent me supportive messages, truly, truly thank you, because there has not been a lack of FUD and even personal attacks on Twitter, Telegram, YouTube, etc. So for those of you who have gone out of your way to show support and kind words, even I literally just talked to RG3 on the phone like 10 minutes ago, him letting me know, you know what, that he supports, even if you don't want to publicly support or endorse something, you don't have to shit on it. I'll leave it at that. Again, for those of you who do support, thank you. For those of you who don't, I'm just playing, but for those of you who don't, I suggest just looking into free markets, looking into distributed networks, looking into just being someone who builds. But yeah, I think this video has gotten quite long enough. I think I've cleared up everything. I think I've said everything I want to say. Thank you for watching. Once again, subscribe if you want to see how this whole thing plays out. Right, Mintra should launch, maybe not immediately after PulseChain, but ideally within a few weeks, maybe a month max after PulseChain launches. That would be ideal. Again, we're working with really good devs, working with a great team, good intentions, and yeah, subscribe if you want to see how this plays out over time. I'll leave links to everything that I mentioned down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.